Welcome back to part 2 of this week's Community Convos with me, Kimmy B. Now, one of my favorite things about this particular show is the fact that I get to talk to some of the most amazing people who not only work and live right here in South FLA, but who are continuously giving back to our community. People like my next guest, Dr. Frank Scholl. Now, wait till you hear what his actual title is. He's the Chief of Pediatric and Congenital Heart Surgery. He's also the Surgical Director for Pediatric Heart Transplants at DiMaggio Children's Hospital. Now, Doc, that has got to be hands down like the longest title I have ever had to say in my entire radio career.
Yeah, it's pretty long. It gets longer as time goes by, I think. They keep adding jobs for me to do.
That is pretty impressive there, my friend. So again, we are speaking with Dr. Frank Scholl from the amazing team over at DiMaggio Children's Hospital over there in the Pediatric Heart Transplant Facility. Now, Dr. Scholl, first of all, I just want to say on behalf of everyone in South Florida, thank you and the entire team at JOD for being just the outstanding servants of the community that you really are.
Oh, well, our whole team is incredibly passionate about what we do. And having the privilege of taking care of people's children, is something that nobody takes lightly, and it's really a privilege. So, we appreciate people putting their trust in us.
Now, if I am correct, the Pediatric Heart Transplant Program that you guys have is actually one of the rare pediatric heart transplant programs in the nation, correct?
Yeah, I mean, pediatric heart transplantation in and of itself is relatively uncommon. I mean, It's done at, a handful of programs throughout the country and around the world. We started the program 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago now. We just had our 5th anniversary, and that's what we're celebrating next week. But we started the program because it was really an unserved need in the community. We had a number of children diagnosed with end-stage heart failure, and it was really sad because they didn't have a place to get good care. And one of the reasons why we started the heart program at JOD in general was because we didn't want people to have to leave their home, really, to get world-class care. And the transplant program was sort of a natural outgrowth of that, kids that have end-stage heart failure ought to be able to get the best care in the world right here at home. That's important.
No, so basically what you're telling me is, so if a child had something wrong with their heart at the time and it was something severe or major, they actually had to leave South Florida and travel, if they had the means, to another hospital that could have been far away. And then not only that, if they were the recipient of, let's say, a heart transplant, they then couldn't have really gotten the care that they would, the follow-up care, because we just didn't have the facilities.
Kimmy, that's exactly right. The program came out of exactly that. These kids were either not getting the care they needed and were dying, which was horrible, or they were being shipped to other places around the country, which is, having a sick child is already incredibly stressful on a family. Having to then separate family members, move to another location away from home for a very significant period of time. I mean, upwards of over a year sometimes, because of the waiting period and the follow-up care needed. It really tears families apart. And so it just wasn't right. And we figured that, there was a solution, and it was to build our own program. And we had the talent to do it, and thankfully we have an administration, and usually when it's the right thing to do, they're doing it 110%.
I feel very Field of Dreams right now. If you build it, they will come, and that they definitely have. Like you said, you guys actually opened the Pediatric Heart Transplant Program and facility 5 years ago, and in that 5 years, 21 different pediatric patients and their families have come through your doors and are surviving and flourishing. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, Kimmy. We've been incredibly fortunate to watch this program flourish over the last 5 years. And we've been able to help 21 little babies and youngsters and teenagers and their families and give them, sort of the ultimate gift, which is a new lease on life, a new birthday, if you will, and a fresh start on life. And a good quality of life, and that's incredibly important. I have to put a thank you out to all of the donor families that in their time of most grief, they were thinking about other people and chose to donate organs. And that's, without them, none of this could have happened. So I really feel it's important to thank them as we celebrate 5 years of really just a wonderful, incredible experience. And being able to do this is really, as I said before, it's really a privilege to be able to help children and their families. And now I just saw one of our recipients today, and when we did his transplant, he was a baby.
Wow!
And now he is running around like you can't even catch him. And I saw his mom, and it just brings such a warmth to my heart, no pun intended, that to see this happen and to watch these kids grow up, and they have an amazing quality of life. You would never know that they were sick.
Well, Dr. Scholl, I'm going to try not to cry because I've actually had the opportunity to be around some of your transplant kids. I'm usually out at Tour de Broward, which is an amazing walk, run kind of family fun day. And there's one kid, and every year that I've been out there, and which is like the past 2 or 3 years, he runs. And he's maybe, 8 or 9 years old. He runs with his shirt off. And every year, I promise you, in the 5K run, he is one of the first people, I'm not talking about kids, one of the first people overall, adults included, to cross that finish line for the 5K.
Yeah, he's Johnny. He's a patient that we did heart surgery on. He's amazing. A couple years ago, after he had his surgery, he ran up when I was running. I trot along. I try to do the 5K. I'm not a runner, but I go along at a reasonable pace. All of a sudden, he's standing next to me running with his dad. And, we kind of ran together, the three of us, and it was amazing to see him, be able to kind of keep up and run. And, well, the next year, he comes and runs up, and his dad's not around. I said, "Where's your dad?" He said, "Oh, he's way back there somewhere." I tell you, I couldn't keep up with him. We ran together for about 2 minutes, and then he was gone. And now every year he beats me by a lot.
No.
So you're right. I think he is one of the first kids to cross the line.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, though, his personality, like when you say the word flourish, he's got this larger-than-life superhero personality, and he's so proud of his scar from his surgery, and he wears it almost like a badge of honor, and he's so proud of you, and it kind of runs with that common theme anytime we're at Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital about it being a family, whether it's patients' families or donor families or, the surgical team as a family. So, I know that that's an important quality that you guys focus on.
Yeah, it's, there's a lot of centers out there around the country that talk about family and patient-centered care, but it's actually part of our culture. It's how we work every day. It's how we do our jobs. The family is part of the healthcare team. The patients are part of the healthcare team, and everything revolves around the patients and their families. It's just how we work. It's what we do. It's in our DNA. It's kind of something that's been hardwired. It comes from the top. The leadership, the administration at Joe D. Chantal LeConte is our administrator, and Frank Sacco starts at the top of the organization about that. It's the patients and families and patient safety comes first. And you always do the right thing by the patients and their families, and then everything else comes along with that. It's interesting to see when people come from other places to either visit or to join the faculty. It's amazing to see how quickly they assimilate into that culture, because it's just something that's in the air. It's who we are, and it's something that we're pretty proud of.
As we talk about the transplant facility, I see some amazing statistics here. 100% operative, 1 in 3 year survival rates over a 5-year period. Talk a little bit about what this means for the community here in South Florida, and of course, even in the state, because I'm sure we get a lot of people from around Florida in general.
Yeah, we do have a bit of a wider catchment area. Most of our patients certainly come from and around Broward and Palm Beach and Dade counties, and as well as out in Southwest Florida as well. But going back to the statistics that you mentioned, it's somewhat unheard of in that the the patients that we've operated on and we've had the privilege to transplant have been incredibly complex. These are not straightforward cases. They're not straightforward patients. They all have different nuances of their disease that are different. And to be able to get these children, all of them, through the process of a heart transplant, and some of them have been on assist devices, which is sort of like half of an artificial heart, and in some cases 2 assist devices to do all of the work of their heart. Getting them through those operations and then through the post-operative period, and having them all survive and then go on to get past their first year and their second year and their third year is really a testament to the whole program. Every single person there really gives their all the time. Just this week, my wife actually asked me, she's like, "When am I going to see you?" And I told her that I'd come with her to pick up our daughter at school. So,
doctors are dads too. I love it.
Yeah, we are. I have 3 children, and it actually makes doing our job easier. The whole team is really amazing, and we wouldn't be able to achieve the results, having 100% of the patients make it through these complex transplants and make it through the first year and the second year and the third year, and we wouldn't be able to do that without the team that we have. And when you're passionate about something, it shows, and we owe that to our patients.
That's something that we talk about all the time here, at the New Hits 97.3, and it is about passion and doing what you love every day. And it definitely sounds like you do what you love every single day, as does the rest of the team. I'm sure being a father yourself helps put it in a different perspective when you're working on someone else's child.
There's no heavier burden to carry than taking somebody's baby or child to the operating room and working on their heart. And knowing that if you and your team don't do the best possible job that you can, that child may not go back to their parents. Yeah. But if you do the best job you can, then that child is going to have basically a normal life ahead of them. Having kids of my own, I know what that feels like in terms of giving your child away to somebody else to care for, and I could never imagine what it's like. They're healthy, thankfully, and I can't imagine what it's like to give them to somebody that literally has their life in their hands. So